Okay. This was like winning.
I was a dancer for 12 years. I'm not going to do any ballet. I don't have my point shoes or anything, but I will show you that I can tap dance. I'm always excited to show that off when I don't dance anymore, so I'm always like, I can dance!
Is there a casting director in the house?
Ready for my big break.
One on chorus line.
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I do stage combat. I was in the Batman stunt show, so I use my stage combat in my fight scenes. That could be a hidden talent, I suppose.
That's awesome.
Swords, big sticks, hand to hand.
Was it the Batman show at
Six Flags in New Jersey.
Jason Douglas did the one in Houston. He played Batman.
Oh, is that right?
So I've seen
I
that
was
show.
Chase Meridian and Spice.
Oh, hey!
That was the beginning of my voice career, actually, because I did the voiceover for the whole show and exciting stuff. That would be one of my hidden talents, I suppose.
That's pretty awesome. I would love to see like what would happen. I shouldn't say love. It'd be interesting to see you get loved by somebody. Be like, oh yeah, I'm just me, and then boom, and like just totally what about your stage combat training?
Yeah, except I'd be just like, no, I don't. I'm taking off my big shoes. I don't think so. I would never leave my house again. But that would be cool if we could you guys drive along in your thing. I could jump out to stop you from doing that.
And Monica has to be on top of the car tap dancing. I mean, I have a really weird relationship to this aspect of my life, but I'm also a big music nerd, like a classical music nerd, which I didn't mention earlier, because it's very personal to me. Everyone's like, woo, one person, yay. And you're awesome. Okay. Oh, other people are like, me too, sit down. No, I'm a classically trained pianist, actually. I've been playing piano and composing since I was 6 years old, but I never, ever do it in public. I actually went to conservatory and dropped the hell out after a semester and a half because I didn't do so good. I hated it. I couldn't take the pressure. But I did. I played. My grandfather was a pianist, a concert pianist for a little while in his life, and then taught me later on when he retired. And I've been playing since forever. And I still average about 3 hours a day in front of the piano if I can. My cat gets mad at me when I don't. He does. He like knows I should be. He's like he just kind of sits there and just looks at me like, meow, Chopin. Hey, come on. So I do that a lot. That's a hidden talent, I suppose. I usually only play for people when I've been drinking.
Does anyone have a drink?
Oh my God, if you give me a drink.
Don't really admit that.
I don't really know of any hidden talents that I have.
You said you sang in your car.
Very poorly. Very poorly. I recently taken up yoga, and I guess I can stand on my hands for just a very brief period of time before falling over. You want to see me fall over?
Yes.
I'll show you.
I'm sorry.
Don't sprain your autograph hand.
If you die, I'm sorry.
Yeah, are you insured?
I know, seriously.
That table, they're performers, aren't they? Wow, we're not performers at this table. We just talk about it.
We're the intellectuals, apparently.
We don't do anything.
Now, when you do a procession of driving, you going walking on my hand.
I've been to a crab walk at one time. We'll work up an act for the next time. No fire batons.
Yeah. Performance art. That's all.
Yeah, I like it.
So we're going to pass on to the audience questions now. So you guys can like hold your hands up and I guess like, you want to choose? Who wants to choose?
You choose!
You choose.
Okay. Lady in the front.
Have the men ever done any female voices because the women have done male? Would you consider doing a female voice?
First of all,
No,
we're
we'd
actors.
kill you.
Yes. Oh yeah. No. No. I mean no. No. I mean unless what's a woman gonna sound like coming out of my mouth? It's gonna be like, hey, how's it going?
I might sound like an 80-year-old smoker. Oh, come here, dear.
Well, Jason Liebrecht, one of the voice actors we work with, he does a really great granny, like old lady, and he's actually done it in shows, but I don't know that he's credited as himself. I think he might be credited as a woman, because he doesn't want people to know it's him.
Jennifer Liebrecht.
Yeah. But he does a really creepy, but it's only the old ladies. He can't do younger ladies.
That's interesting.
I would consider it if I could do it, but I don't think I could do it. And I don't want Veronica to kill me.
Kill you. Most of the time, I think they choose women to play younger boys because the voices are higher. But
and they won't change.
Right.
Like
Low puberty.
Right.
A lot of times the reason that happens is because if a really young person, someone of the age of like under puberty, will get a role, and if that role goes on for several years and they hit puberty, they go from this to this, and can't play anymore.
Like
Aaron,
Aaron
did Nuke in the dub of Full Metal Alchemist. Like, he was really little when he did that, so in Brotherhood he was like, hey, how's it going? We're like, hey, you can't be Alphonse anymore because that's as high as you can go. So the part went to Maxie Whitehead, whose voice has sounded like that all her life. So good for her. And she did a fantastic job, by the way, too. So.
You mentioned something very interesting a while ago, how, because your voice is so unique, and that now you have a chance to use that voice. And my question is, related, what's closest to your regular voice that your mother would recognize? Because you mentioned before that there's which character are you? So which character do you play, or voice act, that your mother would recognize?
My mother has recognized almost everything I've done except for Joe and Burst Angel. Like, that was the one where she's like, you're the little girl, right? No, Mom. Jeez. I will say that every convention I go to, somebody comes up to me and goes, you sound just like Renge! And I'm like, I act like her too. It was a big stretch of a character, that one. So yeah, Renge I'd say, or if any of you have seen Angelic Lair, I play a character named Tamayo, and she's very much like me.
And forgive me, by the way, because I'm a newbie, so my daughter's a big fan, so I'm here for her, but I've seen your Black Butler the other night until 5 in the morning. Until 5 in the morning. My sons are watching that.
Fantastic.
So I'm still learning the voice.
Well, Renge is from Oron High School Host Club. If you have not seen that yet, you need to see it.
Connor's like, we're on it, it's good. We're good.
So what about
you guys? When is the role your mom would recognize? Yeah, the one that's most like you, I guess.
closest to your natural voice?
Ash. No. Closest to you can know in his and her circumstances is probably the closest to me. She's a high school girl who kind of goes through her whole life in this one series. That's probably closest to my real voice. I mean, probably closest to what my mom knows me as, I suppose.
I think for me it would be probably Vaughn from Gunsword is closest to my normal voice that my mom would recognize if she heard it when he's speaking, not when he's screaming or shrieking.
There's my little boy! My mother is God love her, she's so phenomenally bad at picking me out of a lineup of voice actors. Like, she has mistaken me for like Travis Willingham, for you at some point. She thought I was you. When I showed her Aquarion, she's like, okay, so you're the angel, right? Oh, that's awesome. So you're the before us. I'm like, no, that's Monica Rial. How the... but it's funny, like, she's getting, more acclimated to hearing me do various stuff, but lately the one character that she does recognize is Okabe from Steins Gate, because it is just me. And it's not even, it's just my normal voice, but it's also, he's just how I talk normally. Like, he's the words I use, he's the inflections I use. That character is so not acting for me. So I was like, oh yeah, that's totally you. You used to dress in a lab coat and think you were a mad scientist and laugh all the time for no good reasons.
I made a fool of myself. Yeah, gonna make a real fool of myself.
Actually, I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm not good with the microphone.
Yeah, plus you're right by the speaker, so.
Actually, I watched like almost all of your panel, and I really enjoyed them. I was thinking like, wow, most of you all have at least one character with a special laugh. So I was thinking, what can we do that could be fun and different for this panel? And I was kind of, what about the speed laughing going? Like, I give you like a character you once did and you also laughed.
Well, I like
Okay,
this.
let's do it.
Let's do
Do
it.
you have a list?
Do you have a list?
Yeah?
Okay, let's
Go
do
for
it.
it. Go for it. Let's do it. I like this.
Maybe just like, I'm gonna,
You say the name, we'll do the laugh. You say the name, we'll do the laugh.
yeah, maybe
Seriously?
not
Speedy.
going with the clapping.
Oh yeah, don't clap.
Yeah, don't
And
try.
you know what? You may not feel the need to.
I know Michael and Monica, you both had a lot of shows where you were both being cast in it, so if you want to answer that laugh after, like, go for it. Okay. First name on repeat. Yeah. No, calling you my first name, sorry. Yeah, okay. Monica, Oga School Club, Renji.
Right here. Chills every time I hear it.
No, it's yeah, friends.
God, it's so weird to do that in front of French people.
Veronica, Pokemon.
Oh,
Thank you. That was great. Thank you. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
motion cap. Okay.
Oh yeah. Is the question is if we've ever done motion capture? I actually have. I got to spend a month in Tokyo doing motion capture on the film version of Resident Evil Damnation. And then I've, yes, and then I've also done a number of video games that I can't talk about. And then what the really interesting thing with doing the motion capture on the movie was, is basically it's that black suit, little ping pong balls. You go into this enormous sound stage, and there's like 250 cameras all around you. And they pick up every single movement that you do. And so we go in and you act out the entire movie. Okay, physically. Then you go into the facial capture studio when you're done acting out the movie. And then they do your face up with these little polka dots. And you, once again, act out the entire movie, except you can't physically move your head back and forth. You have to keep your head right there with all of the facial expressions and acting at the same time, because they've got minute little polka dots on every part of your face. And so when you're screaming, because you're getting eaten alive by a monster, you know, you're running away from it, and you're going, but you can't move your face. So it's a really cool, it's a cool experience, it's a trip.
Just shout it out.
Yeah, no problem. I do theater. I've got the voice for it.
Yeah, you do. Wonderful.
I was just wondering, because I'm currently finishing my theater studies, and my voice acting teacher says I've got a perfect radio voice, but I don't feel I have many voices in my repertoire. How many voices does one need, or do you generally have in your repertoire? Do you create more and more as you go along?
I would say you don't need a repertoire,
Yeah.
meaning that you don't need to sit at home and go, well, I do Elmer Fudd, and I do this lady, and I do the... What you need to do is be able to use your acting skills and fill in what's given to you at the audition. So what I think the most useful, the most useful thing is to really work on your range of your voice. You work out every day, you're working out in class. Use your acting skills with finding the objective. Most of the time when you go in, you get the scene. Even when you're working for an audition or a job, you look at it right then, and you, since you're only doing your own lines, you have to figure out what the person before you is saying, how they're going to say it, how you're going to respond, and you have to make choices so fast. You have to know how to prepare without having time to prepare. So what you're doing is the right thing. Now you just need to work. But I don't think you need to have a suitcase full of people.
And I think that holds true for acting as well. I tell this story all the time because, well, I adore him. But I went to college with Jim Parsons, who plays Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory. And everybody's like, I'm like, it's just Jim. Oh, really? But there are certain types of actors like Jim that are able to create a character. And Jim was Jim, whether he was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, or whether he was playing Macbeth. Like, that was just, it always was this gangly guy who kind of talked funny and had this Jimmy Stewart vibe about him. That's what he did. Kind of like Julia Roberts is always Julia Roberts, or Tom Cruise is kind of always Tom Cruise. That kind of thing. So if you are good at that one thing, you can plug it in anywhere you need. So he was able to step into Sheldon Cooper, even though he's not that smart. I love him. But he's nice. He's able to kind of, like, just step right into that role because he's been playing that role and he does it so well that he's been able to kind of just switch it. Okay, now I'm going to do Jim in Shakespeare. And now I'm going to do Jim in a musical. And it works for him. So sometimes as an actor, it's not even about being a great character actor, because there are a lot of us that are great character actors or concentrate on that aspect, but you can also just concentrate on just being good at that one thing, and that's okay too.